Hi, Caroline.
Hi, I'm here again.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the IMSM ISO 45001 webinar. So, I'm Maria Dimitrova. Here with me, we have Caroline, who's doing the marketing behind the scenes. And she has joined basically because we suffer from time to time with the connections, and she'll make everything possible if I drop off somehow to bring me back in. So, yeah. Um, did I say good morning or good afternoon?
I can't remember what you
Caroline?
said, Maria, but it is off.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's afternoon in here. We're streaming live from the UK. This is the reason that if we sound slightly weird, awkward, and you see some spelling misunderstandings, it is not because there's something wrong, only because British people don't spell properly. Okay. So this side we'll be talking ISO 45001 this afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. This is a special session for the US and Canada collaborators and IMSM customers. So because of the fact that it's a live session, mics and the cameras are disabled, but chats on all social media platforms are open. So you can use either LinkedIn or, for instance, Facebook and YouTube to drop us a message, comment, suggestion, question, whatever you might like, and we'll try to answer your questions. So it's a workshop, and we've prepared 3 exercises for you to be solved. The right solutions, the right answers will be announced and explained at the end of my expose at the beginning of the Q&A session. So you're also welcome to book a free consultancy session with us. If you have any questions, if you'd like to share some concerns, or to get a second opinion on what you plan to do in the future with regards to your occupational health and safety management system. Well, this said, let's talk about ISO 45001, which is a new standard. It was published in 2018, and it had quite a prolonged transition period over 2 years. First, because ISO standards always offer the opportunity for transition or adaptation if there are changes, and there usually are. And then we had several more months because of COVID. Uh, ISO 45001 is an interesting standard. It created quite a lot of expectations. Why? Because according to the International Labour Organization, uh, 2.74 million dead per year attributed to work-related accidents or diseases, including mental health diseases. And nearly 400 million people suffer non-lethal injuries or suffer from non-lethal diseases, work-related again, which is quite a lot of people. And aside the impact on families and communities, which is enormous, there is a huge impact as well on businesses and economies. So, according to the same organization, the International Labour Organization, 99% of all accidents can be actually prevented. And this is where ISO 45001 comes to support us, because it is probably the best set of best practices with regards to Occupational Health and Safety Management System. So it has been created to enhance our safety, to reduce our occupational risks, to identify every single opportunity to improve our occupational health and safety management system, and generally speaking, to create better, safer working conditions, including diversity, inclusion, and all the elements around equal opportunities at the workplace as well. So, this said, let's discuss a couple of facts. Most people are truly surprised when I tell them that ISO 45001 is actually the first truly international standard. Caroline and I discuss it quite often. Basically, most people consider that OSHA's 18001 is an international standard, and Caroline, she knows it pretty well. It is not. It has been used in so many countries because it was a good standard, but it's a British standard only. There are also standards in different countries, sectors, etc. But for the first time, ISO publishes truly international standard, and this is the 45001. So it was developed with the help and input of experts from over 70 countries. The ISO, the International Organization for Standardization, has 166 members currently. So nearly a half participated in its development. So it is based on OSHA's. OSHA's, as I say, it was a good standard, but the ISO new standards actually provides a much clearer and unique framework for us to set our management system with regards to the minimum standard practice to protect our employees, and it's valid worldwide. Okay, and because it's a well-known ISO standard already, we should say it works as the rest of the standards, using the so-called timing cycle or the PDCA cycle. It stands for plan, do, check, act, or plan on what you would like to do it as planned, check and double check how it has been done, and if any deviations are found or any opportunities for improvement detected, act upon your findings. How? Planning, doing, checking, and again, acting where necessary. Nowadays, we like to represent the Deming cycle with the concept of leadership in the middle. Why? Because leadership is essential to every management system to be successful. Okay, let's test how prepared we are to migrate to ISO 45001. And why do I say migrate? I do say migrate and not create or implement because most organization, not to say every single organization, somehow manages health and safety at the workplace. Some organizations have implemented and certified OSHA's 18001. Other organizations have some basic or ad hoc management systems, but all somehow manage more or less efficiently those aspects. So a couple of minutes for you to read the scenario, and then I'll give you the opportunity to select a potential answer. Caroline, your preferred activity during these talks, isn't it?
Yes. I've read that one already because the word kitchen piqued my interest.
Yes, by the way, please follow Caroline on LinkedIn. She's amazing with her kitchen blog. I've learned quite a lot of things with you, Caroline.
Thank you.
I'm impressed with the World Tour recipes.
Oh, it's good fun. I'm quite interested in history, so and I love food, of course. So the combination is deadly, really, for me. So
I love military history, and
how do
your
you?
blog offers a different point of view. So it's quite interesting
Oh,
to
thank you.
follow how people use the system back then
Yeah,
to
yeah,
cook, and yeah,
it's quite fascinating. It really is history, isn't it?
indeed. I suspect we can move on. What do you think? Okay, let's have a couple of opportunities in here. So, purple liquid stored with the food. We all know that chemistry and food, chemical products, pesticide and food, shouldn't be put quite together. But what we think, doesn't matter that much in this case. What matters is how we approach it from a um, standard perspective. Should we investigate further? Should we say there is a nonconformity? Call the team manager, contact senior management, train people. So I'm going to reveal the right answer at the beginning of the QA session. And meanwhile, we'll be carrying on, and you are very welcome to change your mind if you decide so during the expose. So let's have a look further on and talk a bit more about ISO 45001. This is an interesting aspect to consider. OSHA's 18001 was focused on internal issues, internal risks. Now, because we're talking ISO here, we know that we'll be when we start implementing our occupational health and safety management system, we'll be looking at the whole organizational environment. So we'll be trying to identify uh, all aspects that affected the interested parties and focus on their needs. How do we do that? Well, there is this easy way to get started with interested parties identification. So, if we ask ourselves, what organizations and individuals can affect us, and which organizations and individuals we can affect, and list those and review those and update the list, we'll have a pretty good idea of who the interested parties are at any given moment. And by doing this, we will be able also to identify their specific needs and requirements. There are also further differences between OSHAs and ISO. So, OSHAs, as we say, focuses on risks, internal risks, whilst ISO considers both risks and opportunities. Why? Because risks can condition some opportunities, and that's amazing when it happens. However, opportunities may obfuscate us if we don't evaluate them to find potential risks behind the scenes. ISO is also dynamic. We've already considered the dynamic cycle. So we dynamically assess every change that's relevant to the system, every modification, every new element new to the system. So we can always assess and dynamically act upon our findings. This is possible because ISO is process based. So we evaluate what we need, what inputs will be needed for our processes, and because we should know what outputs should be expected, we'll know how to find deviations. Also was procedure based. Well, this said, if we are already certified to OSHAs or we have a our own management system, how do we begin the migration? Well, as I said, perform the analysis of interested parties. First, identify all interested parties, not only your internal parties, but everyone, every single organization or body, government, different authorities around, and then uh, establish the scope of the system. It means we need to decide what is going to be covered within our system. Once we know who our interested parties are, what their needs and requirements, and how much we'll be covering with our scope, we'll design our processes, our risk assessment, and the evaluation process, and the key performance indicators. They're relevant for us because we need to measure our system performance. Well, if we are completely new to ISO 45001, how do I get started? Well, it's quite unique to find nowadays organizations that may not have too much knowledge about ISOs, but it may happen. For instance, we have detected that startups are extremely interested in implementing management systems, normally ISO 9001, which is quality management, and 27001, which is information security, from the very beginning, because these standards give them uh, confidence and a suitable framework to establish the operations, which is normal. Quality management, on the one hand, sets up a nice framework for the whole organization uh, and focuses on customer satisfaction. And most startups nowadays are technological, which explains the interest in 27001. But we have also detected organizations of new creation that are interested in ISO 45001. Why? Because it allows them to perform a full analysis of the organization's context while establishing the scope of the system, which means the scope of their operations. And they can set the policies, objectives, and their strategic direction from the very, very beginning. So it helps them determine all the competences needed for the organization to be fully functioning, and identify if there are any resource gap that should be filled in. So, another audit scenario, because ISO 45001 is an ISO standard, we should be able, in some cases, uh, to uh, to resolve a scenario on 45001 even without knowing too much about this particular standard, if we are familiar with other ISO management system standards. Let's have a look at this scenario, internal audit again, and decide what we should do as internal auditors. Caroline, I'll give a couple of minutes for everyone to read it. I bet Caroline is reading the scenario as well.
I did. I've had a good read of that one. Quite different than the other one.
Indeed. You know that I'm going to ask you about the solutions when it comes to.
I know. I think I've made my mind up with the first one, and I think this one's going to be different. I'm still not sure what. So I'll have another think.
I bet you know the answer,
For
which
this
is
one, I
always.
think. Yeah.
There is a catch, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be talking about the safety net again.
Yes. Yeah.
It's interesting because people kind of tend to make a decision about good, bad, and seldom think, at least at the beginning, of the safety net.
Yeah. Oh, and absolutely. And I've learnt quite a bit just listening to you, being on the back doing the
Thank you.
tech. It is interesting because I think when I first saw your documentation up on screen and you were talking about it, my thoughts then of what to do were quite different. And like you said, I probably jumped in and thought of something, whereas in fact, there is that catch net that probably the safest move if you're unsure, but I'm not going to
Okay,
say
there we
anymore.
go. Please don't. So, we'll reveal the right answers at the end. But now, again, success factors, management. Your management is the most important factor. They should manifest leadership, commitment, and assume responsibilities for a system to work. So, management must commit to the system to create a culture that supports the system. It must ensure that communication is carried out in a smooth and efficient way. Most organizations actually underestimate that element. They think that they communicate efficiently. Turns out they're quite often mistaken. Please be careful with communication. Sometimes we think we communicate, but people don't understand. And it's logical. If you only think about your personal life, how many times you say something and you're misunderstood. So it's exactly the same in your business life. You may not be able to communicate as efficiently as you would like to. So please be careful about communication. So, very important, the standard requires consultation with workers and their participation. And that's very important. That's very important because many organizations forget that workers are those people who best know the organizational environment inside out, that can assess and advise what is well done, what can be improved, and how. So, workers, if invited to feel comfortable and their collaboration appreciated, can actually help you elevate your image. And here I'm going to tell you a story. Which is related to what I'm going to say. Basically, workers need uh, to be given the opportunity to work in a nice environment, to feel safe, to feel appreciated, etc. So I was speaking to my daughter earlier today, and because of a health condition that I have to be very careful about some garments I wear. Those should be a very high quality, because if not, my health can be affected again. So I tend to buy those garments, very specific ones, from a world uh, known brand. I'm not going to name it. However, this brand, according to my daughter, is famous for using uh, is famous for abusing, better said, the workforce. So my daughter insists that my health is paramount. However, I should look for a competitor that can demonstrate better working conditions. She's 22, and she belongs to this generation that cares about equal opportunities, the environment, etc. Very important aspects of our day-to-day life. And I was literally thrown back when she said, "No, you should stop buying that brand. They're bad for people." So consultation with workers, participation of workers, ISO 45001 helps us identify what is not exactly okay, and thus we can actually improve and elevate our brand. Well, this said, continuous evaluation and continual improvement are paramount for us to succeed in our implementation and eventual ISO 45001 certification. So, what are the benefits? There are many benefits as organizations, aside from what we've already mentioned, the huge impact, human impact on families, on the society, on communities, and the economic impact on business. There is something for every single organization, from the creation of a health and safety culture within the organization, through the regulatory contractual requirement compliance, to reducing absenteeism and staff turnover, which leads to increased productivity. So all those elements are important. And I just mentioned the increased, enhanced reputation that our brand can benefit from with ISO 45001. So, my favorite benefit, however, and Caroline knows it pretty well, is that ISO 45001 is a certifiable standard. What does it mean? It means that when we make the strategic decision to implement an occupational health and safety management system and go for it, we do it, we work hard, we achieve results, we audit our system internally. So when we feel confident, we can ask a third party independent body to come in, look at our system, talk to us, look at what has been done, match it against the ISO 45001 requirements, and tell us if it has been well done. And if it has been well done, this independent body will issue us with a certificate, which is internationally recognized and improves our stakeholders' trust. This way, we can actually demonstrate to the whole world that we operate according to the best practices. So, certifying our system means also that we'll have external checks on an annual basis, which is going to improve our operations and will target the so-called continual improvement at every single moment. So our system will work and will give us the results desired. So because people get kind of concerned when it comes to third-party auditing, I have prepared a scenario for you. Let's have a look and see what a third-party auditor will do if presented with a similar scenario. Okay. What answers can we pick up in here? Well, what should the third-party auditor do? Nothing. The observation happened in their break. Nothing. It all looks good. C. Investigate further. Contact senior management. Or raise a nonconformity. Okay, we'll reveal the correct answer later on. There are different reasons to audit. Many organizations decide to do it to improve their systems. Why? Because I've said these annual external audits are very important. They make us work towards improvement. Organizations also want to determine the effectiveness of the system to improve it. Many organizations use it to meet regulatory and contractual requirements, and as we already explained, for marketing and reputational purposes. Now, uh, when we talk auditing in here, it's not like financial auditing, it's slightly different. And I'd like to reassure you that external auditors are nice people. I'm not saying that being audited is an easy thing. On the contrary, it's quite exhaustive. However, because there's 7 very important principles, you you see that auditing should be carried out in a specific way, making sure that you are not punished to put it somehow for doing the right thing. So, principles: integrity and impartiality, fair presentation. Auditors will not say anything that is it's not true. Due professional care. Auditors will make sure that they don't disturb your usual operations. Confidentiality and independence. Auditors will not accept any influence upon them. Evidence-based approach and risk-based approach. So we'll evaluate what we're going to emit as a conclusion based on what we can see, find, learn about your operations. So this said, 5 steps to approach ISO 45001. We need to identify the hazards. We need to identify who may be harmed and how it could happen. We need to assess the risks. Why? Because we must determine whether existing measures are appropriate or more needs to be done. Very important, we must document our findings. Why? Because for our system to work, we need to review our assessment and plan for new actions if necessary. We can't do it if we don't document. What actions to address risks and opportunity can be taken? Well, risk assessment. And what should we focus on? Well, routine and non-routine activities and situations. Well, through non-routine activities and situations is quite clear, but organizations many times overestimate their routine operations and pay little attention to potential risks. So please be careful with routine activities and situations. Human factors. I quite like to say, mainly with information, working with information security, that machines fail less when compared to human failures. So please take into account the human factors, new or changed hazards. And again, when we have new hazards, it's quite natural for us to assess those. However, sometimes we forget to assess changes and modifications. We need to assess the possible emergency situations. We need to assess our staff and stakeholders and focus especially on any changes in the knowledge and information about hazards. What does it mean? It means that if people leave to join another organization, which happens, and it is good to happen, this is how we improve knowledge in business. uh, they can live with essential for us knowledge. So we need to know if there is any potential gap in there. And when new people join as well, we may hire them for some specific skills and forget about additional skills that can help us improve. Well, this said, thank you for listening. And shall we now approach? Sorry, accidentally, I got this one in Spanish, so I'll find it in here. Apologies, guys. Oh, brilliant. Got it. Caroline, I don't know what happened with the Spanish text. My bad.
Oh, we're just impressed more now, Maria, that you can speak Spanish as well as English, and I know you can speak a few more languages as well, so.
Well, I pretend I speak English. Thank you. So let's review the scenario. We're in the country house in our National Corporate Training Center, and we have that liquid in there stocked with the food. So we talk to people, and we find out that the manager says it is a well-known liquid. People know how to use it. No trainings needed. And we investigate slightly further. We are not quite satisfied with some findings. It kind of looks good, but doesn't look good. So, what do you think we do, Caroline, in here? I'm bringing up. Well, shall we first say that because of the 7 principles of auditing, although it's internal auditing, we should stick to those principles. The 3 options that we should eliminate straight away. So we should do that because remember, we must be independent. We must be impartial. We must demonstrate integrity, due care, etc., etc. This means that we can't interfere into the company's operations. We can't advise. We don't know their business. We should mind ours, which is auditing, not telling people how to do their job. They know better. So please forget about emitting any judgments or getting into the trouble to articulate actions. You're not there for this. You're there to make an informed decision on what you see. So we don't call a team manager, we don't call senior management, and we don't train people. So there are 2 options in here. Declare nonconformity and investigate further. And last time, Caroline and I left a lot about what? About the biggest, the most unpardonable sin in any auditing career. Which was? Carol, do you remember how I articulated it?
Yeah, I can't exactly remember, but I know that. Anyway, I don't want to give it away for anybody who's trying to give the answer here.
Yeah, I know. Caroline is trying just to say that there are 2 potential answers.
Yes, exactly.
Because we already eliminated 3. So
Mm.
A and B should be correct. Why each of those is correct? And first of all, let's focus on the worst auditing sin ever. Documenting non-conformity without knowing why. Okay? So guys, if you have decided to go with B, raise a non-conformity, that's okay. If you now can tell me why. If you can't, I'm sorry to say you failed the examination, although B is the best answer here. Again, very important, when you audit, you can't raise, you shouldn't. You can, obviously, you can whatever you like, but you shouldn't, because if you don't know why, it's not good for you guys. It's not good for your organization. You're speculating. You're not impartial. Where is your integrity? Okay, so this said, Caroline knows what to do if she doesn't know why there
Yes.
may be a non-conformity, or there may be there there could be all good. What should I do, Caroline, if I didn't know what the non-conformity reason would be?
You definitely should investigate further. Unless you're 100% sure that you know what the nonconformity is, you have to investigate further.
Yeah. So, why may people not know uh, the reason for the nonconformity? Life experience, as simple as that. You're an internal auditor. Someone picked you up. Like, you come here now. You go out there. You audit your department, the other department. Sorry, not yours. And you say, okay, I'm quite not familiar with the standards. I'm quite not familiar with what's going on, and I have to audit. You're given some criteria. That's brilliant. You've been trained. However, first time, it's scary doing it. People depend on your findings, on what you say. It's frightening. The responsibility is huge. What do? It doesn't look too good. So your safe net investigating further. Please believe me, if you investigate further, in this scenario, we don't know what else can be found. But if you investigate in real life further, you're gonna find a reason to either file a nonconformity or to say, yeah, it's all good. That's your safe net. If you're not sure, you go with investigate further. Why? Because even if it looks very wrong, which it does, if you don't know why, you are being mistaken, you're biased. Well, now, here in this scenario, for more experienced auditors, there are 2 words. That's just why there is a nonconformity. Well, for those who are familiar with the standard or who have listened carefully to what I have said today, I'm going to read it. Just let me find it. Okay. The manager adds that there are no written instructions or risk assessment related to the use of the degreasing liquid. What have I been talking about extensively? Risk assessment. So clearly here, the organizations organization has failed with the relevant risk assessments. So this is the reason for a non-conformity. Again, if you're not sure, please don't rush it. You'll find how to motivate your decision. Now, let's go to the second one, which was in English. In Spanish. There we go. Okay. Radiographic works that are performed in a restricted area. However, there have been some incidents reported. Okay. Again, it looks both good and not that good, doesn't it? Incidents have been reported. However, our findings kind of tell us that there is good communication, doesn't it? Caroline, what would you pick in here?
I would definitely have to investigate further because just with my untrained eye, I'm a little bit confused. I would want to know more information before making a decision.
Well done. That's a valid answer, indeed. And as I say, it both looks good and doesn't. So I fully understand the decision to go with the safe net in there and investigate further. To the more trained eye, however, there is a word that makes us go with a non-conformity. That's the last line. Okay, I'm going to read it all together. The manager explains that there are no formal arrangements, but area managers are expected to bring anyone who is absent up to speed on their reincorporation to work. So the word that bothers us, the statement is that they are expected. So this is where the communication fails, basically because if the area manager, manager had said they were instructed to bring anyone, or there were procedure, although not written, but followed by everyone, what would I have done in this case? I would have investigated further and make sure that everyone does it. But here, it's just expectations. Okay, let's find the last one, which is a third party audit. Lunch break. The auditor looks at a announcement board. There it is said, please use the box, and there is no box at all. Okay, let's have a look at the potential answers. What should the third-party auditor do? Nothing. He or she was in their break. They can't be bothered. Come on, tupper sandwich, soda. Give them a break. Nothing, it all looks good. They will investigate further, contact senior management, or raise a non-conformity. So apparently they're not going to contact senior management because they're impartial, independent, etc., etc., etc. Good people auditing us. We're left with 4 options. Caroline, do you think that an auditor would abandon their desire to observe only to get focused on a sandwich? Never.
No,
Never, no matter how
no,
hungry they are.
no, it would never
No,
happen ever.
ever. So we are left with nothing. It all looks good. Investigate further or raise a non-conformity. Which one do you think?
Are you asking what I think, Maria?
Yeah?
Oh, okay. Again, you know which 2 I'm going to pick. Investigate further, and I
Well
guess
done.
I don't know if there's a non-conformity. Then I can't tell because I don't have the knowledge. But I think the wrong instructions were given them, and they instructed everybody to put their thoughts into the box, and there wasn't a box there. So that strikes me as not very good. So I would definitely investigate further.
Let me first say thanks to everyone that has decided to raise a non-conformity. Thank you, guys. You're completely wrong. Well done, but you're mistaken. Caroline is right. We need to investigate further. Absolutely right. There is no other answer in here. We can't go with a non-conformity. Why? Because, and Caroline has given you the answer. She has just said, I think, I consider, I see it as wrong. She's biased. So, when we, again, rule of thumb, when we start our statement with I think, I consider, it seems to me most probably we are biased. So we need evidence. What evidence? Well, I don't know. If we investigate further, we may find non-conformities. But at this moment, we don't know why. Because yeah, there is a announcement. There is no box, but someone has given us a valid explanation. What would I do? I would go and check out the number of emails. I'll compare those to the number of previously filed complaints. I would speak to more people. I would check out every single detail around before making a decision. I don't know. It might work. They just might have forgotten to take it off the day before. I don't know. Because it looks wrong to me, it doesn't mean that it is wrong. I may be mistaken. So, Caroline, I'm absolutely aware of the time. Can we just ask everyone? I see that we have received a lot of questions. Just shall we let them know that we'll be answering via email?
Yes,
Basically,
definitely.
because yeah, we're running out of time.
We've had a long day, haven't we?
Yeah, it's morning in the States, but guys, it's 6 p.m. in the UK. Thank you again. Thank you, Caroline.
All right.
And thank you, everyone. Please don't forget to follow IMSM on social media. We do interesting stuff online.
We do. We definitely do.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.